Yeah. Now let me share my screen. Today, guys, we are going to do a real-time project. Let me show that to you where, guys, we have already created one front-end application and one back-end application. Have we done that? Have we created any React application, guys? In last class, I've explained how to create a sample React application. Am I correct? And we have seen one backend application also for the function app. So today class, in our class, we are going to do a project where this is one project, guys, where the front end is on React and backend is on .NET. This is my backend application. And guys, here the DB, this is my DB script file. I have already explained you how to create SQL DB. Now, guys, we have seen different types of deployments also, the pipelines. Now, guys, today we are going to do how these components will communicate with each other and how we actually do the projects in real time. So, guys, let me open this project. Yes, I'm opening this in Visual Studio 2019. For you, no need to open that, guys, because I will give the project file, so don't worry. If you don't have this IDE, then also it's okay, no worries. So here, what I'm going to do, this project, there is one front end, one backend, and one database. Front end is on React, backend is on .NET, database is your SQL database. Now, this is my backend application, guys. I'm waiting to load in my local system. Meanwhile, guys, let me go back here. I want to create a database. You know the procedure of creating a database. I have already shown that to you. Let us quickly create one database for our project. So, guys, when in real time also, the first service which you create for any project is your database. So let us create one database quickly. Give any name, 𝐒𝐷B. And you know, we need to create a server. Let me ecom server. Username and password. Done. Now, guys, yeah, local review and create. This is a price and create. So I'm creating one SQL database, guys, and this is my project, the backend application where 1 minute, guys, it is loading. Yeah. If you remember the diagram where I have explained a 3-tier architecture, you know, this is your front end, this is your back end, and this is your DB. And I told you guys, you will be having one user here, a request. When he accesses any website, like if he is accessing a website like Amazon.in, that means, guys, you know, the request we first will go to the front end. From there, it will go to the back end. And from there, it will go to the database. And the meanwhile, the answer, the response will come from the database to the back end to the front end to the user. And here, this is my front end. This is my back end. This is the database. And guys, this is a user. I told you, user will, these are the requests. Top ones are the requests. Request 2. This is request. Okay. For example, I'll explain this. Wait for a minute. Now, guys, Now, I've already explained it, but I'll again explain. When a user wants to log in to this particular website, so in the website front end, he will give username and password, and he'll hit the button submit. When he hit the button submit, guys, the request will be on my front end. It will forward the request to the backend so that it can check. 1 minute, guys, 1 minute. Guys, here on front end, we are passing users username and password with my request, and backend work is to check whether the username and password is present in the database. There may be one user table. If the user table contains the username and password, that means he's a legitimate user. Now the database will give a response like 200, or it will say that the user is present. Then the backend says to the front end, the user is a legitimate user, and backend will give his logged in page. So guys, here if you observe, the user is entering his details on the front end, and it is actually the backend work is to take the request from the front end and check and forward the same request to the database and check the answer in the database. If it is correct, then it will give the response to the front end. And if you observe this, the first question is how the front end is communicating with the backend. Can anyone tell me? I'm saying the backend will communicate with the front end will communicate with the backend. Can anyone tell me how the front end communicates with the backend? The answer is, guys, using APIs. API is nothing but application programming interface, guys. Now, when you create any backend application, this is my backend application, guys. For example, guys, this is my database. Try to be focused, guys. Very, very important concept. So try to be very focused. Now, this is the user table, and it has, for example, two tables, guys. One is products, other one is users. So there are two tables in my database. Product table has all product related details, and users table has all user details. Now, when you create a backend, actually, guys, backend work is only to perform 4 operations. What are those? Those are known as CRUD operations. CRUD means, guys, create, read, update, and delete. That means, guys, when you create the backend person, when he creates any application, he will perform these 4 operations on the database. For example, if you want to create a new record in it, he can do that. If you want to read or select, if you want to select something from it, he can do that. He can update any record, or he can delete any record. So all these things will be done by using APIs. So backend is nothing but a collection of APIs, which will actually execute, which will actually call by the front end, and it will be executed in the database. For example, if I'm executing read operations by using API, it will actually read the database from read the content from the database. If I execute delete API, what will it do? It will delete one record from the database. Guys, do you understand this or not? First, tell me this.
Yes, sir. Yes.
What are APIs? APIs are a part of my backend application. Only work of the APIs is to, it will perform these 4 operations on my database tables. And generally, guys, who will call the APIs? All the APIs will be mentioned in the front-end application. For example, guys, if you need to insert something into the database, for example, there is a new user is there. At the time of register, the UI is asking to enter his email and password. Password and confirm password, for example. When the user entering these 3 values, our intention is these 3 values should be stored in my table, so that again, when he come back and again, when he wants to log in with the register values, the username and password, he should get an access. So when you are registering you are actually inserting some data into your database. That means you're creating a new row in the database table. Is it correct or not, guys? Generally, what we do on a register page, we will give some user details, and at the end, we will click the button submit. When you do that, your credentials will be stored in the database. Actually, we are performing everything on the front end. But guys, when you click the submit button, one API is written. One API is called by the submit button. That API is your backend API. And that API's work is to take the data of the user and insert the data in the database. Guys, do you understand this or not? First, tell me this. Okay, if you understand, let us perform the actual project. Now, this is my backend application, guys. And let me, if you go to this particular file, guys, app settings.json. Now, this is my backend application. So backend application actually communicates with the database. That is the main work of the backend application. So how the backend is communicating with my database, that you will know now. If you go to the database, this is the code now, guys. If you go to the backend code, this is my backend code. If you look into this particular file, you can see this is my connection string, guys. What is the connection string? Can anyone tell me?
To connect one server to another or DB to the.
Actually, guys, when you create any SQL DB, you will get one connection string. I told you, you have to give this to the database person. If you remember, you have created this DB. I told you guys, this is the connection string which you need to share with the user. This is my connection string. You can see this is the connection string. Actually, we are communicating or connecting to the database by using the connection string. Now, guys, here, copy the server name. This is my server name. Copy this and paste it here. This should be my server name. Now, let me go and select the DB name. This is my DB name. Copy and paste it here. And copy the username and password. So I have already copied. Now, guys, when okay, guys, what I have just done in the backend application, I have given the SQL database connection string so that the backend can enter into database, or it can perform or read or delete or any select operations in the database. For that, the backend should have the connection string of the database. Now, guys, let me go back here. This is my connection string. If you remember, after you create the database, I told you to go to the server and update something in the network section of it. Do you remember, guys? Have we created the database?
Yes or no? Yes, we created, sir.
Yeah, we have done that.
Add your client or something. That
yeah. Go to networking part.
Allow the Azure.
Yeah, select network. Then you have to add this IP and select, click on the checkbox and click the save button. Once you do this, done, go back to your database. This is my database. Query editor. Give the password. Now, yes, I have entered into the database. Now, this is the currently, guys, you can see no tables, empty. It's a very clean database. So, guys, I told you the database person will give one data script file. Actually, for this project, this is the script file, guys. You can see this has been given by the database person. I told you can create a repo and create a build pipeline and release pipeline to execute the commands. I told you that, and we have already seen that. Now, guys, today what will we do? We just copy the entire script file. Copy it, open your database and execute that here, run it. Now here, what are we doing here? We are creating one department table. It's a create query and we are inserting some rows into it. And we are creating an employee table and we are inserting some more rows into it. That means, guys, when you refresh this, we have created two tables and each table has some data in it. If you click that, yeah, I can see there are two lines in the department table and there are two lines in the employee table. Am I correct, guys? Just give the employee name. When you execute this, you can see there are two employees in this table and two departments in this table. Now, guys, because I have already copied the connection string here, let me run it. I am running the backend application, the only backend I'm running, guys. Wait for a minute. Wait for 1 minute. Output will be displayed here. Connection string done controller. Yeah. Can you see this, guys? What is this? When I execute the backend application, this is my backend application, guys. When I execute it, I'm seeing some data here. This is actually, if you observe here, this is the data which is there in the database table. If you go to, this is my database thing. If you see the employee table, there are two employees, Bob and Dizzy. And there is Bob related to IT department and Dizzy related to support department. If you come here, the first is, this is Bob showing IT department. Next, Dizzy showing CS support department. That means, guys, what you have just done, you have actually accessed your employee database table data by using your backend application. Now let me access the department table. You can, when I type department, guys, I am now accessing my department table's data. That means, guys, here, if you see, this is an API. Here I have created two APIs. One API is actually getting the data from employee table. And I have created another API, which is fetching the data from the database table. When you run any front end, guys, what will you look? When you run a front end application, what will you see? You will see a beautiful page with buttons and everything. Am I correct, guys? We are viewing a lot of websites in the world. And each time we will only view the front end. We don't know about database. We don't never access the backend. They will sit at the backside. Guys, when you run the backend application, it will look like this. It will only give you the database tables, JSON data. Did you understand this or not? Guys, what we have just done, we have actually completed this part. We have created one backend application and we have created two APIs in that. Can anyone tell me, guys, who will write the code? This code will be written by whom?
Backend developer.
Backend developer, not you. No need to worry. We are not here to write any code. It is a work of the backend developer. You need to know how to deploy these things. That's it. You need to create the app service. You need to create the database and everything. So if you observe this, guys, this is an employee table. There is a select query. Do you executed any queries, guys, in the database? Okay, yes. What is the use of select query? Can anyone tell me?
To fetch the record.
Yeah, fetch the record. Okay, what is the use of insert query?
To insert the record.
It will insert the record in the table. Can you tell me what is the use of update query?
Update the record, particular record.
Yeah, existing record will be updated. Can you tell me what is the use of a delete query?
Deleting the record.
Removing the record.
If you observe, my database is having only two tables. Am I correct? I have only two tables. And if you look at the backend code, here also you are having only two controllers. These are the two controllers. if you have 15 tables, here you will be having 15 controllers, and each controller you will find these 4 queries, 4 types of queries. I told you the CRUD operations. Now, forget about that. Now, guys, what we have just done, we have successfully created, that means this code will be given by the backend developers. Don't worry. So we have actually executed one backend application, and we are able to fetch the data from my SQL DB. Is it correct? Correct, guys. Are we fetch the data from a database table? Did we fetch?
We have manually created from in the DB, right, sir? Not via this code.
You will actually manually create it here. Okay, let's do one thing. If you want to insert a new row into it, you can insert a new row. So, guys, from where I'm getting the data, can anyone tell me where I'm having the data? Inside my SQL, inside my Azure Cloud's SQL database. Am I correct, guys? Is it correct?
Yes, yes, correct.
And how you are accessing the data of this table by using your application? By using the connection string, correct? Your backend applications is having one connection string. It is connecting to the database by using this string. Is it correct or not?
Correct, sir.
Yeah, now guys, let's do one thing. Let us deploy this code to the cloud. How to deploy? I have already shown you how to deploy a code by using a pipeline. Do you remember, guys? We have created one .NET Core application and deployed it to the pipeline. Do you remember?
Yes, yes, sir.
Now, guys, let us quickly. Yeah, and I told you guys there are two to deploy the front end. What service you will use to deploy the front end? App service, na guys?
App service, sir. Yeah.
To deploy the backend, can anyone tell me what is the service which you have used?
Function apps. Sir.
Function app. But I told you guys in real time, front end will always be on app service, but backend, it can be on app service or function app. Do you remember this? Do you remember this?
Yes.
All the front ends will be on app services, but all the backends can be on function app or app service. So guys, here I told you, if your backend person will tell you, how will he tell? He'll tell, can you please create one function app? Because they might have used .NET Azure functions. If they use .NET Azure functions, then they will tell you to create function app. If they use normal .NET Core application, then they will ask you to create one app service. So guys, here in this project, they have used this function. So we are not using function app. We are using the same app service to host my both applications, front end and backend. So let us do one thing. Let me first create an app service for my backend application. Create one app service. Here I am creating this to host my backend application. Select a resource. Name backend.NET Core 𝐒𝐷. Done. .NET. Free, just review and create. Create. Done, guys. Deployment in progress. Now go back here. Guys, I've already shown you how to deploy any code. Actually, guys, how will you deploy this code to the cloud? Can anyone tell me? This is my code. Now, how will you deploy to the cloud? Can anyone tell me? What is the first thing you need to do?
Copy that to Git and push from Git.
Yeah, you have to push the code to the repository. You need to have
Right.
one repository and you have to push the code to repository. And after that, what will you do?
Create a build pipeline.
Yeah, create a build pipeline. And when you create the release pipeline, the code will be pushed to the cloud. You know that.
Yes.
Yes, correct? Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
And now there is another way also, guys. What is that way? We will use that way now. The programmer, sometimes what will they do? If it is dev environment, guys, they may not take your permission. They may not use the repo. They may not use the pipeline, everything. They can simply deploy the code directly. How will they deploy? They'll come here, right click on the application. You can see a publish folder. Just click the button publish. Now, guys, click the button start. Now you can see the target where you want to publish the code, where you want to deploy to Azure. Select that. To which service? To an app service. Select that. Now, guys, yeah, wait for a minute. It will fetch all the app services which are available. In the learning, I have just created this app service, Backend Net Core Ecom. I'm selecting that app service. Wait for a minute, guys. Now click the button publish. What will happen, guys? Now, without need to push the code to the repo, without need to have a build pipeline or a release pipeline, I am directly pushing the code from my system's laptop, from my Visual Studio IDE to the Azure Cloud Service, guys. This is also possible. So it is not that if in the interview, if they ask you to create, can you tell me, is it necessary to have a repo, build and release pipeline to push the code to the cloud? Answer is no. You can actually directly push the code from the programmer's laptop to the cloud. But guys, there is a very big problem. Can anyone tell me what is the problem if you do like this?
There is a chances of defects in the code. That should be proper process should be followed.
Yeah, because guys, if you deploy the code directly from the programmer's laptop to the cloud, and if the programmer leaves the company, then where will you find the source code of your application? It is there in the programmer's laptop. So this process we should not follow. Though they can publish the code to the cloud directly, there need to be a proper repo. And if one programmer leaves the company, the next programmer can come and check the code in the repo. He can pull the code from the repo to this laptop and he can look into the code. So guys, you should always go with the proper route where the code need to be first copied to the repo. Then you need to create a build pipeline. Then you need to create a release pipeline. You need to take the permissions, and then only you will actually release the code to the cloud. Now, guys, now the deployment is done, go back. I'm just showing you that this is also possible. If you go to the app service, this is the app service. If you browse this, let me browse this. One minute, guys. To access that employee table, guys, you have to enter /API/employee. When you type this, you will get employee table data. You can see this is my employee table data. And guys, if you want to get department table data, this is the way to get it. Now, guys, can you tell me what we have just done? Can anyone tell me what we have just done? Guys, what we have just done?
We have directly pushed the code from the developer machine to the cloud.
That means, guys, we have directly deployed the code and the backend is ready. Is the backend ready? Is this ready?
Yes, sir.
And have we already created this database on the cloud?
Yes, we created.
That means these two components are ready and they are working. When you try to access the table from the backend, you are able to do that. So this communication is established and it is working properly. Is it correct, guys?
Yes,
Is it
correct.
correct? Yes. Now, guys, let us actually deploy the front end also. Let me deploy a front end and we will make the URL ready. Okay. Now, guys, let me close this. Okay. Let me open VS Code. This is my code. This is my application. This is I will provide the codes, guys. Don't worry. I will provide the code. Now, guys, this is the code. This is my backend. This is my front end code, guys. You know, this is the React front end code. Now, guys, if you see the diagram, this is my diagram. Now, how can you tell me how the backend accesses the database by using what it has accessed? Can anyone tell me?
Connection string, sir.
By using the connection string. Is it correct or not? Now, how the front end is accessing the backend? Let's do that. Very simple, guys. You search for this variable.json file. Here, we need to provide the backend URL, guys. Here, the backend URL is, what is the backend URL, guys? When you browse this, this is my backend URL. Now, copy it from the start till this API. Copy that and paste it in the code. Just paste here. Now, guys, what you have just done, you have given the backend applications URL. And if you can see, guys, there are two tables, employee JSON, department JSON. This is the front end code. Whenever the person, okay, let us execute this, then you will understand. Don't worry. Let me go and run it locally on my machine. npm start. Yeah, guys. Now, yeah, if you observe here, this is my front-end application. And if you see this, guys, when I click on department, wait for a minute, what's happening here? Wait for a minute. Can you see the IT and support data? Can you tell me from where I'm getting this data?
From DB, sir. Database.
From the department table. When I click employee, here I'm able to see some data. Can you tell me from where I'm getting this data? From the same database table. Let me add one employee. Let me add one department first. Add department. Department name is sales. Create. Done. Okay. Now, guys, what you have just done, by using this front end, you have added one new data into it. Can you tell me where will I, okay, is the database updates with the data or not? Let us go and look. If you go to the database, this is my database. If you query select star from department, when you run it, can you see the new data, the third data? If you observe here, can you tell me from where the third sales has come? from where this data has come into the database. Can you tell me who inserted this data into the database? Can anyone tell me?